Hello, everybody. How you doing? I hope you're good and your life is, has been amazing. I just want to share with you part of my life, how I was brought up, where I grew up in, and all that. Now, my story begins in some years back, about over 40 years back. If you want to know the exact date, you have to DM me. Now, and I heard that I was born. From what I was told, is I was born in Pumwani Hospital at around 11:30. I think it was on a Tuesday. It was December 12th. December 12th. Yeah. And so that's what I know so far. And then what I can remember is me myself growing up in a place called Kariobangi, and in my childhood we used to live near a mganga around us. So we used to live near a mganga. So I can remember sometimes when they were cooking chicken, you could go and sit down and eat in that house. But these chickens were food that people had brought maybe when they came for the services, and after they got the services, now they whatever they gave to that person was a herbalist or something like that to help them. That is what they used to eat in the evening. So that's what I can remember. And then, so I don't know whether they have implications of anything. I can try to minimize the background noise. So some people say that they do. So that's what I can remember. I remember playing around in those streets. I remember I used to have a friend called Shiro. We could play childhood games, Chababa, Chamama, and all that. That's what I can remember. What else? I also remember that my mom used to have a shop. They used to have a shop over there in Kariobangi. At some point, they used to have a shop. When my mom, and there were sweets. I think I could take a lot of sweets. And then near us, there was another family that was close to us. That's why I can remember my childhood. And but later on, what else can I remember? I can also remember a time when, as a kid, I can remember my mom and I don't know if my dad was there, but I can remember parents being laid on the ground up with. It was during the coup. So I was still a kid, and I can remember parents laying down on being made told to lay down on the. It was like a place where they used to. It was a dump site, so that they used to do the dumping around. Uh, we have such cases in Kenya where things are just this trash everywhere. So there are places where there's trash everywhere. So that ground, and so they were made to lay down there. And some people, there's some flying toilets where people just pull on the plastic bags and they smear them, they throw them like in the dump site. That's what it's. So our parents were made to lay down on that. But later, when I grew up, now I come to understand. During that time is when President Moi was almost to be assassinated and all that. There's a guy, I can't remember his name, but they had tried to overthrow the government. So when I grew up, that's when I can remember that. But I can remember my parents, the police coming, the military coming out and telling parents to get out, and telling parents to get out and lay down on the ground up before. That's another story. Then later on we moved to, I don't know if there is another story I can remember about Kariobangi. But I can also remember we had a good life. We were not well up, but we are not lacking. Sometimes my dad would come and then he would lay on the seat and all of us would just run and lay on his tummy and all that. He used to like staying without a shirt when in the house. And those times when we were kids, he could just lay in the house. So we just play around with him and all that. During December holidays, sometimes we could go to a place called Maroroi to just go visit my shosho, my granny, and all that. And over there also, no, but that maybe that is when I've grown a little bit older. But in Dandora, later on, I think in 1985, we went to Dandora. My dad had built a house. The pictures of that house we had a house in Dandora, and that house had good memories. I don't know why he decided to sell it. He shouldn't have sold that house. Because like at least tungekuwa tukienda tunakaa Nairobi na tuko na nyumba yetu hapo. I don't know how he decided to sell it. I just don't know. So, but we had a house over there. It had like how many rooms? One, two, three single houses, like three of them on that side, and then there was a kitchen. There was a bathroom and a toilet, and then on this other side there was one room, not two rooms, and then there was a side where they had also another two rooms. So one, two, three, four, five. We had five rooms, single rooms, and a kitchen. And then there was like a hallway. So that house have very good memories of it. Maybe like next time I'll share about normal. That is my life in Kariobangi. Anything else I remember in Kariobangi? The thing I remember in Kariobangi is the things I remember in Kariobangi is I went in nursery school over there. I went to nursery school, but I didn't stay for long in nursery school. Later on, I went to class one. So my class one began at Babadogo Primary School. Babadogo Primary School, and then when I went there, I can remember a teacher who was her favorite, and sometimes she could send me to go buy fries for her and bring them to her. And then sometimes I think they could gossip about children and all that. But I think I was a good student because the teachers they used to like me that time. And then from it, that's that year. And then now we moved to Dandora. Now from that's when my life began over there. In class one up to class eight, I was in Dandora. I was in a school called Babadogo Primary School, and over there I always was in Kenya. They have that stupid habit of having numbers. Like according to your grade, they will tell you you're number one and up to 40. Which that habit should stop. We should not grade kids according to that, because that really pulls kids down. In America, they have some grading system where it's you're either on a green, you're on an orange, you're on a red, like that. So when you're on orange, it's like you need to improve to get to a green, light green. Then from a light green, you go to I think the system is better, and they don't grade you according to the way you've done. And then they tell kids that this one is the most clever, this one is the most foolish. No, they don't do that. So that's something that Kenyans should learn. So in Dandora, the thing I remember most is that we used to now because when I was in Babadogo, walking 3 miles and 3 miles back. So that was my trend for 8 years, and maybe that's why I have a small body. And most of the times I never used to eat lunch or breakfast for me, and I just used to go and play soccer all day and play and play and play and play and play without eating or anything. I could play and play and play. So I realized that over time when I was playing soccer, I never used to get tired. But later on in life, I started getting so tired and all that. So what else? So that's that. I also remember in Dandora, sometimes if could be beaten up and the mob justice could happen. A story I remember is one of the my like our age mates was called Nandon, and I think they are going to steal some metal or scrap in Molen, and then he got shot. And then there was the barrier, and people had to watch him, like the people do the last respect. And so I remember me watching him, and I just told myself I'll never watch anybody else when they're dead. From that picture, so I don't like watching people when they're dead. I like to remain with that picture of people the way they were at. So that's that. And also sometimes in Dandora we could hear that there were people who had been killed, who had been shot at in or even sometimes there could be a season where you could hear that people's like private parts were cut off for men, women. Their breasts used to be cut off because they could be used in witchcraft and all that. So there used to be those stories. But as we are going through that Mukuru, where there's a dam site, the Ndora dam site is called it Mukuru. There could be a lot of stories that could happen over there. But I thank God that God secured us and God protected us. You want to see my face? I don't know why. That's the reason why they put hats like this. That you can see my face. I think I should have another light from Chini. So that's the way it could be. So Dandora, but my good memories of Dandora is us getting up early in the morning and going. Then one day something happened. That as I was going, I think it was in 1988, as I was going to school, I had a crash. Was rammed by a car. And I flew up in the sky and I hit the ground. And my siblings, my sister and my brother, Kaush and Masi, I think they were behind. So when they came, they found that Gong had become number one, just like I was told you. And then I was rushing so that I get a present. So I got hit so bad. I got so hit by a car. I got hit by a car, and as I got hit by a car, people flocked to the place and all that. But by the grace of God, I was not injured. So that's something that, thank God, maybe today I could have been lame or something or crippled. But the thing that happened is that that car was a small car. It was a small car. That car was a Toyota Mini. So it never like never injured me. So I thank God for that chance. So that's the way I've been in my life. What else? What else can I remember? I remember being in that. Our neighborhood used to be so good. We used to have a lot of kids. In the evening, we could gather and just sing songs, play around with the girls innocently, like that. Those used to be good moments. And also sometimes as boys we used to go to the downside of Dandora and go to the gardens that were there, and maybe it's a season where we could have something called Kalongolongo. Kalongolongo is a season where we could cook, like the big boys will cook. What was the name of that guy? I can't remember his name. Maybe I'll try to remember his name. A goose. We used to have a guy called a goose. I think he was our ringleader. So he could teach us what to do. So we would go. Some people could go down those. And it was stealing by just as you go and get tomatoes. Somebody get onion. Somebody get this and this, and then we'll come and cook those things, and then it would be so fun as kids. And then we could make like banners. I think I can make banner out of a tin and all that. Also, there used to be a season where we used to have like racing cars where everybody could make their cars and then we could race around. Those were good moments also. Another time is when another moment is when you are having soccer tournament. There's a time we used to have soccer tournament, and that was my favorite. And then we just have a soccer tournament where we compete against each other and all that. And then the girls could be surrounding us and all that. So there's a time we used to play boys versus girls. So those were good moments. So those are times that I remember so much and they were so good. Another times, which other times? There's a season where I used to have something called Mufara. Mungarangari. So it's a wire that is circle. And then you put another wire that is like a C and hooked up to a longer one that you push it with. So those ones we could practice with those ones. Another game we used to play was fair. Fair is that you put bottles and then you have like a sling and then you have a stone and then you compete to hit the bottles. And with that, I came to realize that I'm not so bad at aiming like with a gun. The time you were So I hope I don't forget that. There's a time when I was in Missouri, I went to a pastor's house that had a gun. So we had like the beanie guns. So as I shot, I was aiming. I realized I was good at that. So that's something that helped me in my childhood. So we could play those games. There used to be soccer. Soccer used to be a favorite. Especially when we could go compete. I wish there was some people who could support us during that because we were good. Some people are so good in soccer, but we never had shoes. It's playing on rough grounds, no kits and everything. And even when I told that's something I don't know. If somebody had bought us shoes or something, or just to encourage us, because I know there are guys who went to Mesa who are not even half as good as we were, but they went so far. God bless you. I'll continue later.